Okay, I'm going to help you revise for your climate change notes. I'm going to give you some top tips that will help you prepare yourself for this end of topic assessment. The first thing you need to understand about end of topic assessments is you could be asked a question on any area of the topic that you have just learned. Some of those questions will require you to describe, and some of those questions will require you to explain. So let's have a little look at how we approach this. First thing is you're going to want somewhere to prepare your notes, prepare your revision notes. Now, you might choose personally to do this on paper or on pieces of card that you might have, like index cards. You might also choose to do this as spider diagrams or some other method that you personally prefer as a way to prepare notes. What I am going to use is just a simple old-fashioned technique of typing up the notes. And you will find in this revision assignment that there is a Google Doc called Revision Notes for Climate Change. And that's where you could do this. So I would open that up, and this is where you're going to start to put your key notes. Next thing you're going to want to do is use your resources. Now, you have 10 lessons worth of notes on the climate change. You've got they should all now have been put into your student master note set, which contains all of the stuff you did across the entire topic. Okay, and certainly as you revise this, you should be referring back to the different parts of that topic to help yourself prepare. So what else is available for you to use to revise? Well, if you go to the revision website, which is in your Google Classroom, you will find a whole bunch of resources that are going to help you structure your revision for the climate change topic. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is what do I have to revise? Okay, so if you go into the Global Issues topic, section 3, now this is where the climate change topic sits in the exam paper. You will find that there are 2 global issues that we study, and the one that we've just completed is their climate change. Okay, so you want to click that open. Now, what have you got here that can help you? Well, the first key document that's going to be worthwhile having a look at is going to be this document here, which is just loading up. This is the revision checklist. Okay, and let's just have a little look at how we use that. Okay, so it will open up a Google Doc, and you will find an outline of the main things that you need to learn for the climate change topic. So here, our first thing we need to do is we have to be able to describe a pattern of change using a graph. Okay, and actually you'll see the second one is a very similar thing. Can we describe patterns on any graph, as a matter of fact? And our third one is, can we describe patterns across the globe? And our fourth one is, I can describe and explain the physical and human causes of climate change. Okay, so let's just go with this first one. I can describe the pattern of change in global temperatures over time on a graph. So go back to my main revision document. I want to revise that. Okay, so I'm going to put that down as my first thing that I want to do. You can do the number of them. I'm just going to bullet point it. Describing patterns from a graph. Okay, so that's my first learning objective. Now here what I'm going to do is build up some revision notes, some key points that are important in doing this. Okay, now how can I do that? How can I? Well, I can go to my class climate change note sets and look at some examples where we describe patterns from a graph. Okay, so that's a kind of an obvious place to go looking. What you can also do is you can go down here, okay, where you will find 3 tutorials that will answer some of your things. So here we have a tutorial on the causes of climate change. Here we have a tutorial on the effects and consequences of climate change. And here we have one on the solutions. Now you'll see that that doesn't actually tackle your specific exam question. So you might want to have a little look at the website Now there's some websites here that can help you at the bottom that you can click on to get more materials to help you prepare. Okay. One other thing you can do to help yourself do this, and here is a little kind of top tip for this, using this website, is apart from looking at the checklists, you want to have a look at some exam questions. Okay. So what does a typical exam question look like? So if we scroll down on the front page, the home page of the website, we go a little bit further down, you will see you've got an exam paper from 2017 that talks you through how to answer an entire exam, not just climate change, but the entire exam. And if you go further down, you'll actually find some exam papers. So let's look at 2019, the most recent one that was sat by students. And we're thinking, right, I want to revise climate change. I want to have a look at some questions, and I want to practice those questions. Okay, so when you open up an exam paper, the first thing you got to do is find where your questions that you're revising for actually are in an exam paper. Now, in the case of climate change, because it's section 3, which is the last of the 3 sections in a National 5 geography paper, you would probably, or you will have to scroll towards the end of that exam paper. So it's just taking a little bit of time to load up. And there we go. So you will see an exam paper has got 3 sections, 1, 2, and 3. And you'll see in section 3, question 14, climate change. So it's towards the end. And so we scroll down to that section. Just give it a chance to catch up as it loads up. I've gone a bit too far, possibly. Yes, so we have. I've gone a bit too far. So here we are in section 3, all the different topics. Now, in National 5, you only have to study 2 of these global issues. And we happen to do climate change, which is question 14, and always will be question 14, and health, which will always be question 19. So let's have a look at our climate change. So there we go. We've got a question of a graph, and it says, describe in detail the changes in carbon dioxide levels and average global temperatures. And it's a line graph, so I might decide, well, I actually want to practice that. So another thing you can then do, now depending on your device, I'm using a laptop, so I'm going to snip this into my revision document. And it brings up a little snip tool. Now, depending if you're on an Apple, they'll have their own version of this. You can screenshot it and bring it in that way. So I'm going to create a new snip. Let's just take, come on, it's taking the time to work. Let me just try that again. Okay, so I've now managed to snip it. And there it is. And I'm copying it. And I'm now going to drop it into this revision document that I have created, because I want to practice this first skill. And there we go. I'm just going to now paste it using the Control-V. And I brought in that exam question so I can practice it. Now, just a little review of how to revise these questions. When you're describing a pattern on a graph, it's important that you pick up information from the x-axis. So in this case, it would be dates. You match dates with data. That's on the y-axis. And you pick up changes in the graph when it goes up, when it goes down. You always want to start with the overall change. So from this amount to this amount, if it was CO2 concentration, or from this amount to this amount, if it was global temperatures. So that's a pattern on a graph. Another typical question is a pattern on a map, which is a slightly different method. And what I'll do in the next tutorial is talk you through how to build on this revision resource, as well as some sort of top tips for the key things that you're going to want to revise to prepare for in the climate change topic.